Welcome to the Hudson Show. Coming up, you won't believe what someone paid $4,000 to do to Taylor Swift's guitar. Also, a conspiracy theory that might actually be true. All that and more on the way next. It is the Hudson Show from RadioU. Thanks for listening. And by the way, as of this recording, our fall fundraiser is going on right now at RadioU. That is how we keep everything at RadioU running, from our radio station to this podcast and all the other things we do with RadioU. It's all because of support from people like you. You can still help out, whether the fundraiser is going on or not, when you're listening, by going to RadioU.com or opening up the RadioU app and just give a donation that you feel is right to keep this going, to keep this hope and entertainment going out into the world. I don't know if you've seen this going around on TikTok. It's called food sequencing. It's the idea that if you eat your foods in the right order, it can actually help you lose weight, and reduce unnecessary snacking, and possibly even treat some other health symptoms as well in rare cases. Well, it sounds a little ridiculous, right? Just what? You're going to eat the same foods just in a different order, and all of a sudden you're going to start losing weight? But it sounds like there's actually some scientific basis in this, going all the way back to the 1920s, where a guy named Dr. William Hayes came up with the Hayes diet. And his thinking was you should never eat protein and carbs in the same meal. Never the twain shall meet. His reasoning behind it has kind of been debunked, but the thought process actually kind of has, some scientists have found, proven true, especially, and people are going to love this, that the idea that you should eat dessert first in a meal. You should actually eat sweets first before you get to the real meal. Why? Because of the way like our desserts are, they kind of trigger something in your brain to make it feel fuller quicker. And so if you save the dessert all the way till the end of the meal, then you're not telling your brain's not telling you it's full until you've actually overeaten all the stuff that was on serve for dinner. But if you just nibble on some dessert ahead of time, then actually your brain's already going to be telling you you're full, and you're less likely to overeat whatever is served for dinner. So now you just have to kind of make sure you don't go crazy with whatever your dessert appetizer is. I think that this, listen, you don't have to tell me to eat more dessert. A lot of times I overeat at dinner so much that I never even get to dessert. So you start me with dessert. Dessert is the appetizer. Maybe I'll just skip straight to the appetizer and never get to actual dinner. I don't know. And we'll see if I can ever shed these last 10 pesky pounds I've always seemed to be dealing with. What a crazy weekend of college football. It has to be, I think, the best one we've gotten so far. Obviously, the headline was Georgia and Alabama. Alabama gets out to a 28-0 lead at home. And this is all credit to Georgia. How many teams, good teams, would be down 28-0 to Alabama on the road, and they'd pack it in? They're like, that's it. We'll get them next week. Georgia battled back. Georgia gets back in the lead in that game. That's unbelievable. Honestly, how many teams could do that? And of course, it's still snatched away from them. Alabama, Ryan Williams, their young wide receiver, is unbelievable, as is Jalen Milroe as well. And just a great win for Alabama and a great game to watch. And then the other headline finish was back on Friday night with Virginia Tech and Miami, where Virginia Tech seemingly has a game-winning Hail Mary. It's ruled a touchdown on the field, and then somehow, if you haven't seen this, go look up the replay, Virginia Tech, Miami, Hail Mary, and see if you can figure out. I mean, I told you they called it a touchdown. It was actually waved off after they reviewed it. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the replay. I mean, I don't think it's a catch, but I also don't know how you overturn it after you review it and you called it a touchdown on the field. Was anything about it clear and decisive? Because that's what they need, and it was not clear and decisive at all. They didn't even explain themselves. It was like, well, the ball was moving, or this guy was out of it. There was no explanation. It was just like, that's not a catch. I don't know. I feel bad for Virginia Tech, and for Miami. Things like that in the past several seasons have not gone their way. So maybe this is just their year. But man, one of those weekends that make you remember why you love college football. The box office breakdown, looking at what made money and what didn't in theaters over the weekend. And by the way, you can let me know what you've seen recently. Anything good? Anything horrible? 8772 Radio U. The Wild Robot. We talked about this in the weekend watch list. Just rave reviews from the critics calling it. I mean, I feel like there's no bigger compliment than calling it a Pixar movie, even though it's a DreamWorks movie. But somebody said that The Wild Robot made $35 million to put it at number one in the box office. If you got to see that, of course, let me know. I did not get out to see The Wild Robot. I still haven't seen Beetlejuice either. And that's still in second place with another $16 million. And Transformers 1 was number 3 with just over $9 million. What I did see is I got a head start on spooky. Is it too early to start watching like Halloween movies? Because I watched Goosebumps, the movie. I looked it up. It was from 2016, I think, with Jack Black, the Jack Black Goosebumps movie. And it was much better than I actually expected. Like, it was fun. It wasn't too scary because I'm a little baby when it comes to that. I was not too scared. It does fall into, like, it's another movie that revolves around high school students where many of them do not look like they should be in high school. I mean, Jack Black looks way older than a high school student. But whoever it is that played the lead, high school student, whatever that guy's name is, I have no idea what his name is. But he looks like he was probably like 25 for this movie. Nevertheless, I enjoyed it. A twist that I did not see coming. So be warned if you haven't seen Goosebumps before. And it almost made me, I've never watched any like the old Goosebumps stuff, but it almost made me want to go back and maybe see how that stuff from the 90s holds up. I'm not going to do that. Nikki, has any of your friends gotten into the sleep maxing trend that you know of?
Oh, that's funny, Hudson. What are friends? No, just you okay, assume too much.
Have you gotten into the sleep maxing trend then?
No, I feel like if I did some of the like mouth taping and the like, you can put your jaw kind of like in a harness sort of thing. I think I suffocate. So I don't know. I don't know if I can do it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. So sleep maxing, if you haven't seen on TikTok, it's just the idea of doing these different unconventional life hacks that help you sleep better, such as, like you mentioned, taping your mouth shut to avoid snoring, doing stuff with your jaw, sleepy girl mocktails.
I know you love your mocktails.
Yeah, right before bed. But according to many sleep experts, the sleep maxing trends, all these different hacks, many of them could actually make you sleep worse. So exactly what you're saying.
Well, if you want to Google mouth tape, like that is still very highly contested of like, people say, oh, it's the best for you. It helps with like sleep apnea, snoring, like you'll get an amazing night's sleep. And then others on the other side of the health world are like, you're going to die. What are you doing? Like, it's going to be quick and painful. Like, it's awful. So I'm too afraid to do mouth taping. But like, if you put a mask on your face or your hair and the overnight curlers, Hudson, it's really nice.
Some of it does sound soothing, but I'm with you that like I would never tape my mouth shut while I'm awake. So why would I do it while I'm sleeping? It sounds even more dangerous. While I'm awake, I need to be talking too. So
some people really sleep with their mouth open, and so you wake up and you have a sore throat, and you've been snoring and stuff. But like sleep. It's not masking, it's maxing, like to the max. Like if you're going to do all that stuff, but I'm super lazy. Like I'm barely doing stuff during the day, so I'm not going to do it at night.
So you should get a good night's sleep anyways.
I don't. I just can't go to sleep because I want to stay up. So that's its own issues, and there's no trend for that.
What about the irony, because I'm sure this has happened to you, Nikki, of you're lying in bed watching TikToks instead of going to sleep, and what comes up, all these sleep maxing ideas for you.
No, do you know what really happens? And I would love someone to text in at 8772 Radio U. I can't be the only one. When you're on TikTok too long, it pops up should you take a break? Should you rest? And whenever I see those, I'm like, oh, darn it. I've been on it too long.
When TikTok is telling you, hey, you need to do something else, then that's a sign.
Like they legally have to tell you.
Yeah. Even TikTok's like, you might want to take it easy on the TikToks tonight.
It's like, just go to sleep, but please tape your mouth if you want to.
We're not just encouraging you to donate to Radio U today. That would be a big help for us. But we also want to encourage you to donate to organizations that are helping out clean up and support after Hurricane Helene, just caused all kinds of destruction across the southern part of the United States. this weekend. Nikki, you were in somewhat of the path of the storm. How did things go for you?
I was. It was my third hurricane, and they just get weirder and weirder, Hudson. It is a unique situation. I didn't evacuate, but I was one road over from the forced evacuation, and so it's very odd. But thankfully, I'm good. I didn't have any flooding, but a good portion of the town where I live in, it is so weird to just be like, there's your road that you normally take, and then the next day your road is gone.
Yeah.
Like it's completely washed away, and it's really, really weird.
Yeah. And well, I think part of the problem with this hurricane too is not only did it hit a lot of Florida where, it still caused a lot of destruction, but Florida's been there and done that with hurricanes. So they're as prepared as you really can be. But it also went up and hit like a lot of the southern states that don't normally get hit by hurricanes, like inland where they're not used to dealing with this stuff. And so it caused a lot of issues.
Did you see, I kept thinking of you because you love Gatlinburg and like the flooding and stuff.
Yeah.
And in the Carolinas, like it's just been awful to see because again, yes, it's areas where you would see a lot of video of people saying, oh, they were only expecting like a couple inches of rain. And then they just didn't expect to know what that rain could do.
Yeah. Those, I mean, going to Gatlinburg before, I've familiar with how they are susceptible to flooding in some cases, but still, you don't normally see it on that kind of
I'm sorry, Hudson.
level.
You've been to Gatlinburg a few times, so therefore I just naturally associate Gatlinburg with you. So I'm sorry.
I'm the Gatlinburg expert.
You are the Gatlinburg guy.
Now, Nikki, of course, anytime a large disaster like this takes place, there are also conspiracy theories that go with it. I don't consider this one very harmful, but have you seen the magnet conspiracy theory in regards to the hurricanes?
Oh, no. And please tell me there's no, like, you guys can't when you do your conspiracy theories. You just, or at least you have to wait a long time for everybody to start cleaning up and doing all that. But I've not heard. What's the magnet one?
This one, if true, and I don't know, I have no idea about the weather enough to know if this has any possible validity to it. But this goes back several hurricanes, but it was very clearly evident if it exists. If it's true, this was the best example. And people claim that in Tallahassee, Florida, home of Florida State University, they have what they call the Mag Lab. It is the biggest superconducting electromagnet this side of the Mississippi. I don't know. It's a giant magnet. And so people claim that because they have this giant super magnet, that it actually diverts the path of the hurricane. And if you look at the path of this hurricane this time, it looks like it just made a weird veer turn right around Tallahassee.
Oh, that's a weird one. I don't know. Even like, okay, so if magnets were a thing, but did you see like the Tampa hospital that had the aqua wall built around it?
Yeah, people were talking about that.
People were just like, well, just towns could put in the money to build an aqua wall, you know, and just spend a lot of money, but save a lot of things. But I don't know. I think I'd believe in the aqua wall maybe more than the magnet sort of theory.
It makes a little more sense. But I mean, hey, could it hurt to start putting a bunch of electromagnets everywhere?
Listen, the next hurricane that I'm in, you try anything. When you're like a few hours in on that wind and rain, you're like, I will do whatever it takes to try to not have this thing destroy everything.
Start learning how to make magnets, Nikki.
I can't. I got to go buy them.
Nene is here with me.
Hi.
Nene, yesterday was NFL Sunday, and I hope you didn't. The Cowboys didn't play yesterday, so you got to be a fairly neutral observer of all the action, and so I'm sure you have some impartial thoughts.
I do have a lot of impartial thoughts. Impartial thought number one: the Chiefs, no matter how bad they get hit, they still manage to come out on top, with or without the help of the refs. That's impartial thought number one. Impartial thought number two. Why do the Green Bay Packers have to be so good? Like, even though they lost that game, I can still see it. That a couple missed field goals, just a couple plays had gone their way differently, they would have came out on top, and we wouldn't be looking at a 4-0 Vikings team.
I'm glad you're saying it and not me, but I am going to say it as well. Those couple field goals, one of the Jordan Love interceptions, he was literally hit in the head, and it went off of the hands of two Packers. And the Vikings intercepted. They just were lucky. They were incredibly lucky. I mean, their defense is good. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, it's the same thing I said about Georgia and Alabama. Most teams, even if they're pretty good, you get down 28-0, and those teams just pack it in and they're done. It's a sign of a very good team. the Packers and Georgia to come back from 28-0 and make it a game.
Oh, someone just went to RadioU.com/donate and made a donation. So
Like
here's the thing. In our fantasy football league, which shout out to everyone who's in our Radio U fantasy football league. I'm not talking about this league. I'm talking about one with some friends from church. There's a guy who we were really hesitant about letting in our league, okay? Because he has an ego problem. Like when he does super, super well, he always gloats about it. And believe it or not, it's not me. By
I was going to say.
It's not me, okay? It's not. I'm actually I'm like 8th out of 10th in this league. So here's the thing. I'm going up against him this week, and he's got all these heavy hitter players. I'm talking like he had Rashee Rice. Well, I guess Rashee Rice went out. But anyways, he had all these heavy hitters. I was ready for him to blow me out the water. He comes to church later that day, and he says, Nene, and he shakes my hand, and he says, I'm going to lose this week. And I was like, oh, a little bit of being humble. I love this.
Yay.
I was down by 18. And then a big man named Derrick Henry came and saved the day. Got 35 points for my fantasy team, and now I'm sitting on top.
Yeah, I was going to mention that game, the Bills against the Ravens for Sunday Night Football. I didn't get to watch very much because I went to bed after the first quarter, but fortunately so did the Bills, so I didn't miss much.
Yo!
Nene, a proud Texan.
Amen!
Nene, do you know where St. Joe, Texas is?
No clue.
I love St. Joe, Texas because, first of all, it's spelled Saint, like Saint is spelled normally.
Yeah.
J-O. Is that a real saint?
Where the E go? Who dropped the E?
That's Texas for you. So if you're not familiar with St. Joe, Texas, are you familiar with the annual Rednecks with Chip? Can we cut and start over? Are you familiar with the annual Rednecks with Paychecks event?
Rednecks with paychecks. No.
It's like a mud crawl and stuff like that.
Oh, that's disgusting.
People like with their monster trucks and whatever. Like their off-road vehicles.
I went to rodeos, but I never went to any monster truck things.
I might advise staying away from these kinds of things because the situation unfolded last weekend
Did someone get ran over?
Yes.
Wait,
yes.
what?
But
dude, that's terrible.
I mean, it's Texas. It's a
that
mud
makes it
crawl.
okay.
It's the weekend. There was, it seems, alcohol involved, but there was some kind of dispute, you get like alcohol and monster trucks mixed together.
That's a bad combination.
You're asking for trouble. And so what happened was, and there's video of this, you can find it on TikTok and stuff, of a guy in a group of people. There's an argument going on. He gets in his like full-on monster truck.
No.
And he just is like, that's it. I'm out of here. And he drives into a crowd of people, drives over multiple smaller vehicles.
Bro. Why would you tell me that?
Since nobody is seriously injured, it's pretty funny, right?
It's
a cautionary tale.
No way.
It's better because the guy's name, Jonathan Earl Reed.
Okay, I don't get it. What's so funny about the name?
It just sounds like the type of name of somebody that would own a monster truck and use it to run over people. Doesn't it?
Gosh, dude.
He's been charged with 5 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
It's a deadly weapon, all right. Brother was mowing people down like it was candy.
Yeah, that was not good. But a couple people are hospitalized, but apparently many vehicles were damaged. But
you say that
okay.
So nonchalantly when it's so serious.
It's serious, but if anybody was killed, I would not be laughing. And they'll be okay.
Yeah,
and I think Jonathan Earl Reed, if he had the money for that monster truck, he has the money to make them whole, I hope.
I have a feeling that this man is a single guy because no woman would let that man have that big of a truck.
His wife might have stepped in at some point. He's probably divorced.
Golly, bro.
This is a great time of year to be a sports fan because not only do you have the NFL and college football going on, you got the baseball playoffs, which we'll talk about soon, but hockey season and basketball season both start up here real soon as well. And for hockey season, it's exciting because we get a brand new hockey team. It's particularly exciting for fans in Utah because they are about to welcome the Utah Hockey Club, their very first pro hockey team they've ever had, as far as I know. The Utah Hockey Club moving over from Phoenix. That's a lot of background. But one of the ways they are trying to get fans to go out and attend Utah Hockey Club games when the season starts here in a few days is they are rolling out what they call fan-friendly concessions. If you go see a Utah Hockey Club game at the stadium, you could get a Far's ice cream. I don't know what Far's is. It's the brand. $3. Not horrible. Hot dogs, $3. That's pretty good. Nachos and popcorn each, also $3. And you could get a Dasani bottled water. They're like, their $2 and $3 menu. The only thing that's $2 is Dasani bottled water, which we have to admit, right? For a pro sports team stadium, those are pretty solid deals. But then again, how sad is it that a $2 bottle of water, which is still more expensive really than you would have to pay for a bottle of water anywhere else, and that's like, ooh, a fan-friendly deal, $2, and it's Dasani to make matters even worse. But I do have to compliment them on that, I guess, because I was just at a preseason hockey game, and they didn't even have like water fountains, and so obviously the water was more expensive, so I just basically dried up. MLB's playoffs kick off today, later this afternoon. The top 12 teams in baseball compete for a hunk of metal, as Commissioner Rob Manfred called it. But here's the other thing that is huge in baseball is that Pete Rose just passed away. He was 83 years old. Of course, for me, I'm much too young to have ever seen Pete Rose play baseball. And for most of us, we probably are. But Pete Rose, a legendary baseball legend. He is the all-time hits leader in baseball. He has more hits than anybody, and he hasn't played since, I think, the late 80s. And yet, he is not in baseball's Hall of Fame. He's actually banned from baseball. Why? Because in the late 80s, it was discovered that he would bet on his own baseball team at some point. And so, believe it or not, Paul Giamatti's father was the commissioner at the time. He banned Pete Rose for life from baseball, wasn't allowed to play or get involved in any way, and then wasn't allowed into the Hall of Fame. I kind of think, look, betting on your own team is ridiculous, but it's also ridiculous he was banned from the Hall of Fame. That doesn't affect anything. He should have. It's sad to me that Pete Rose goes to his grave never getting to actually be in the Hall of Fame. And I know, like, his nickname was Charlie Hustle. He was one of those guys that just played super hard. I love that. I wish there was more athletes like that today. And so, it meant a lot to him, and very sad that he never got in to the Baseball Hall of Fame, which he truly deserved, even despite the bad choices that he made. And doesn't it just feel ridiculous too now? Anytime like somebody gets punished for anything gambling related in sports, it's like you can't watch a baseball game without seeing a million ads for DraftKings and FanDuel, and yet he bets on his team. Yes, not supposed to do it. But banned from the Hall of Fame? Come on. Nikki, I don't know, seeing this story, if it is particularly insulting to me while we're doing a fundraiser, or if maybe it's inspiring. But let's...
Because you want the money, we can give it to RadioU.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we just need to be thinking this same way. But there's a story going around that this weekend, where else but Texas, you want to take a crack at pronouncing the city name of this one?
Waxahachie. There we go.
I'm sure, Nikki, all respect to you, but I'm sure someone's going to text in and tell us that's wrong.
Fine.
In Texas, it's the city that looks like it should be pronounced Waxahachie, but I'm sure that that's wrong. A man spent $4,000 on Saturday night to buy a guitar that is supposedly autographed by Taylor Swift. But that's not what the news is. The news is that once the man was given this guitar for $4,000 autographed by Taylor Swift, he decided to smash it with a hammer.
Oh, he's that type of fan. He's the opposite.
Yeah. Now, this occurred at the Ellis County Wild Game Dinner, and the $4,000 he spent on this supposedly went to support a nonprofit organization supporting agricultural education for local youth.
Well, that sounds nice.
I guess it's for a good cause.
It is for a good cause. And I think sometimes they like if you're at an auction, they're playing it up like, okay, you're either a Taylor Swift fan and you want to pay the money, or you hate her, but you're still helping a good organization. So it's like a hate bid, and then you get to trash it.
This is clearly a hate bid from this guy, but it does make me I feel like it makes me upset I'm upset for the guitar. The guitar did nothing to anybody.
Yeah.
Who did the guitar hurt? It didn't choose to be autographed by Taylor Swift, whether you like her or not. This guitar didn't ask for this, and now it's smashed. It's useless.
Well, did you see what else was being auctioned that maybe was more better? Like if you wanted to bid on something
better than a Taylor Swift guitar?
On the Hot Mama package,
Oh.
which included a massage, a facial, and a handgun.
Oh, if only somebody had won both, they could have used the gun to shoot the guitar.
You really should have joined together for
Yeah.
another winner and did that. That's really funny. I just
my
like people. I actually don't mind when someone's so dedicated to what they hate that they don't mind putting a little money behind it. Just like we're dedicated to Radio U. We love it. We put a little money behind it. But there's the opposite for people who, if you don't like something and you want to put $4,000 down.
I think, I don't think we would stoop to this level here at Radio U, but there probably is more money in ginning up people to be upset about something. Like we try with commercials, but what else can we do?
I don't know, but I will tell you it's T-shirt Tuesday, but we're also doing the Hot Mama package where you can get a facial and a handgun, apparently.
A massage from me. I'll give the massage. Let's start the bidding. Let's start the bidding.
There's a hate bid right there coming in.
Nikki, we've been lied to.
I'm sure, but you have to be specific. Who was lying to us and what were they lying to us about?
Well, you know how we've always been told that you're supposed to change your password every so often to everything you ever own, ever log into.
They should all be different.
They all have to be different, and you have to make a new one every, every month? You're supposed to make a new password because it's supposed to be safer. New research has come out that says that's actually a lie.
Oh, you're not supposed to? Because I wasn't, so that would make me feel better if we're not doing it correctly.
Yeah, well, it's not that you're not supposed to change your password necessarily, but what research has found, this was done at, looks like University College London in the UK. They found that when you force people to change their password when they don't want to, then they get lazy and just slightly change the password.
Oh,
or just
100%.
Yeah, well, absolutely, right? It's like, why should I have to come up with a new
Absolutely.
password? This one's been working just fine up until now, so why should I change it to anything different? And then you're not really truly changing it the way they want you to change it, and so it's too simple and gets figured out by hackers, I suppose.
Now, does anybody else do this? And let's raise our hand and be honest. You know, you get the alerts like on, your iPhone, Apple will tell you, and Google will tell you like your password's been compromised. You're supposed to change it.
Mm-hmm.
And lately now I'm just like, well, it's already over. So
Yeah, that's exactly.
they already have everything. I'm not
Nikki,
even going to change it. I know.
I'm with you. I've had the same alert, and you know what? I'll look at the thing and I'll be like, well, I don't really care if somebody hacks into that anyways. Like, they can have it,
I won't use it.
So, I don't know.
And I've had my identity stolen.
I wonder why.
I know, right?
But once you go through it, you're just like, well, what's the worst they can do to me now?
I know. I just look at the whole list and it's like every password I have, it looks like has been compromised in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to redo it, it's going to be like a weekend project. I got to redo everything.
I also think, too, that if there's so many passwords, like if all of my different various passwords, because I have multiple because I've been forced to, if they're all out there, then that means everybody else's probably are too. And it's just a sea of passwords. And if like one of your passwords is it's a drop in the ocean.
Everything's gone.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand.
What are the odds, even if mine's out there, that somebody's going to take mine? It would be a dumb one to pick, too, because what are you going to get from me?
For some, they believe in that. And then for others, it's like, well, all right, your new quest is to never change your passwords and just see how it goes, which is, I think, where we're currently sitting.
If we just come up with the most complicated password, we shouldn't have to change it forever. Right?
Well, that's when like you choose the Apple suggested one where it's like 17, 18 characters, just randomness.
Yeah.
But like that's even just everything's so much work. So
they always put in like characters you can't even find on your keyboard and stuff.
Yep.
Like, how am I supposed to do that? But don't have it memorized in the system because that would be also a security flaw. So
well, someone's going to kidnap me and make me try to remember it.
Like, buddy, I don't even know. Thanks for listening to The Hudson Show. Please don't forget to rate and review the podcast.